Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into today's video. So it is officially February and I figured it's probably about that time to start doing some Valentine's Day nails, and that's what we're going to be doing today. And based on my personal judgment, I guess, I would say that this is a fairly simple nail set. Now, one thing I'm starting to learn is that simple does not equal easy. So we'll see how easy this nail set is to achieve. You guys will humble me in the comments as you guys always do. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So as you can see, my nails are not prepped and they're looking a little bit crusty. I haven't done them in over a week, so I think it's time we do some nail prep. So for today's video, I did decide to wear a little finger cut on my pinky, and that's not necessarily because of the appearance of my nails, but because I end up doing this pinky nail as a press on later, I feel like looking at the 4 nails and then looking at a blank nail kind of messes me up, and it's hard to really see what the nail set's gonna look like when I'm done. So I'm just gonna keep her covered until the end. And yeah, now if you're new here and you don't know what's going on with my pinky, I am treating her for fungus, so I don't work on top of it. I usually just do a press on and I stick it down with a little sticky tab. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start wearing finger cots for now, just so I can get a good, or like a better look at the nail set as a whole, but I don't know, we'll see how that all goes. So like I said, the first thing we're gonna do is start with some nail prep. I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my nail implements ready, and then we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so everything is ready to go, and the first thing I'm going to do is take my cuticle pusher and I'm just going to gently push back the cuticle area. So now that my cuticles are nice and pushed back, I'm gonna go in with this cuticle clean bit to help further lift them. I really like using this bit because it does a really good job at lifting the cuticle area without damaging it in the process. But if you don't have a bit like this, a regular cuticle bit will work just as fine. Just make sure to use it at a lower RPM. So anything between 3 and 5, I would say, is pretty good. Anything over that would be too rough. And just for reference, I'm gonna be using this at about 7,000 RPM. Because it's more on the gentle side, you don't have to use a super low RPM, and also just make sure to be as gentle as you possibly can. Don't apply too much pressure, especially if you do want to maintain the health of your nails. So now that the cuticles are lifted, we're gonna go ahead and cut them back. As you can see, I don't really have too much to cut back. It's really just a lot on my thumbnail. So for the most part, I'm just gonna cut whatever needs to be cut. And for reference, I really only cut anything that's like kind of white and crusty. As for the living skin, I leave that alone because I don't want to cause any unnecessary damage and inflammation. And if you are not comfortable with doing this, you can go ahead and skip this. This is a cosmetic procedure and it's not necessary. It doesn't affect the longevity of your nail set, so you don't have to worry about it if you're a little bit skeptical about this. But I do like to do this just for the sake of aesthetics, 1 and 2, because I tend to nick the edges of the uncut skin whenever I'm using a carbide bit when I'm shaping and filing my nails. And I did do that on my thumb once and it was pretty rough. So I don't want that to happen again. But yeah, you can skip this if you don't feel like it's necessary. So now that my nails are nice and prepped, I'm gonna go in with my peel off base coat. For today, I'm gonna be using my 𝒹𝒶𝓉𝓁 peel it off base coat and a little bit of cuticle oil. Now this base coat in particular does not need an oil, but I do feel like it helps me remove these a lot easier. But if you want these to last anywhere between a few days to a week, I would definitely just skip the oil and go straight in with 2 layers of this. So I'm first just gonna apply a little bit of cuticle oil to all 4 of my nails. And this is just gonna help to bring these back to life because they're a little bit ashy. They're ashy because they're dry, you know, a little bit damaged, but mainly dry, you know? I don't like to apply too much because I don't want these to pop off while I'm trying to shape these. So I'm only gonna go in with about this much. And I'm just going to rub this in and make sure that it covers the full nail. Also, while I'm rubbing this in, I'm removing any excess oil onto my glove just to make sure that it's not too sleek and, you know, the peel off base coat isn't necessarily sticking. And now I'm gonna go in with 2 layers of my peel off base coat and I'm gonna cure each layer for a full 60 seconds. So now that the nails are nice and prepped, I'm gonna go ahead and size out all of my nail tips for today. Now this nail set's actually gonna be an almond nail set, but I'm gonna be using these nail tips as my base, mainly because I don't own any almond nail tips that are kind of long, and I do want these to be on the longer side. It's definitely a waste of good nail tips, but it's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and size them out. And of course, while I'm sizing these out, I like to make sure that these fit sidewall to sidewall. So to cure on these nail tips, I'm gonna be using some regular base coat. And I mentioned this, okay, by the way, this is not a tooth mark. Just wanna say that, okay? I'm not sticking my mouth on this thing. Anyways, I mentioned this in all of my videos. I do like to use regular base coat because no glue doesn't really stick that well to my peel off base coat, and I find that base coat is a good substitute for this. I wouldn't use top coat or matte top coat because neither of those are strong enough to really adhere to this. Base coat is a lot stronger than those two, so I like to use this instead. And to help me adhere these without having to stick my hand in my large lamp, I'm going to be using this mini lamp right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the nail tip, and I'm just going to place a little bit of this top coat into the well of this nail tip. I don't like to apply too much because a little bit goes a long way. Now, before I place this on my nail, I'm just going to turn this lamp on, and I think if you hold this, I think it goes to 60 seconds. Cool. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and place this down. And once it's fully placed down and I've made sure that it's nice and straight, I'm gonna go ahead and cure this. And as you can see, the nail tip is nice and cured on, and it's also nice and straight. Now, because I do my nails all the time, I can kind of measure how straight my nail tip is gonna be just by placing it down. But if you are trying to correct any curves in your nails, or your nails are going in a different direction than your knuckles, I would definitely recommend holding your finger out this way when you're placing down the nail tip. It is a lot easier to cure them on in this direction, but you can kind of mess up and it looks good this way, but then when you flip your hand outwards, your nails are crooked and all over the place. So that's just a little tip from me. So now that this nail tip is cured on, I'm gonna do the same thing to my other 3 nails. So now that the nail tips are nice and cured on, I'm gonna go ahead and cut them down using some tip cutters. Now, as I mentioned, I do want these to be kind of long, but I don't know how long I wanna do them yet. I'm thinking maybe to about, maybe like here. I think this is a pretty decent length. Maybe I'll go a little bit shorter. Okay, I didn't cut off much, but I think that looks good. Now for my thumb, I like to make sure that it's lined up like this. You can also kind of measure it like this, but I don't really feel like breaking my fingers to match the length. I don't think it's that deep. Next, I'm gonna take some nail clippers and I'm gonna roughly cut them into the almond shape. So now that we have the rough shape going, I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything up using my 80/80 grit nail file. You don't have to necessarily do this right now. You can always do this after you do your application, but for the purposes of aesthetics and because I'm just used to doing this right now, I'm gonna go ahead and do it here. So all of the prep work is done, and now we're finally ready to move on to the application. So my application is all done, and here is what it is looking like. I just went with a fully nude base, nothing too crazy. And I also went ahead and did the application for my pinky nail that I'm going to stick on later. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the shaping, and I have my dust collector ready to go. So because these are almond nails, I'm going to first go in with a carbide bit just to debulk the nails. I like to stick with a carbide bit for the majority of the process when I am doing almond nails. And if this were polygel, I would use a ceramic bit. Point being is that I don't really like to file over the surface with a nail file. One, because that means I'm gonna have to buff the surface smooth for the nail art, and two, I feel like a carbide bit just gives a nice rounder, smooth appearance, whereas a nail file would probably work better for something like stiletto or square nails, something that's a little bit more angular, if that makes any sense. But if a nail file is something that you're comfortable with, feel free to use that. I just like to do this because it's a little bit quicker for me, and I'm lazy. I don't like buffing my nails, so I'm gonna go ahead and smooth out the surface, and for reference, I'm gonna use this at about 9,000 to 10,000 RPMs. So now that these are like pretty much shaped up, I'm gonna go back in with my 80/80 grit nail file just to kind of perfect any imperfections. The reason I'm doing this after I shaped over the surface is because I'm really just using this to fix any like small imperfections, so like get rid of these little, pieces of acrylic that are stuck. My general shape is pretty much still there, so I don't really have to go too crazy here. So I don't mind doing it afterwards because it's kind of an afterthought, honestly. So yeah, this usually takes me maybe a couple of minutes just to clean up a little bit. Okay, so we are now onto the nail art portion, and this is the nail set that we're going to be doing for today. Now, I don't think that this is actually a Valentine's Day nail set. I think this was a nail set that came out maybe in the fall of last year, but I could be wrong. I could be making that up. I don't know. However, I feel like because of the lips, because of the martini glass and the red, I feel like this nail set gives romantic date night. And that's kind of the vibe I'm going for today. It just feels very sultry, very intimate, romantic, and I just really like it. So as you can see, I went ahead and mixed out all of my colors already, and let's go ahead and get into it. Now, as always, the first thing I'm gonna do is just clean off my nails with a little bit of alcohol. So like I said, this nail set's pretty simple. It's not super intricate or anything. So the very first thing that I'm gonna do is draw a French tip on my pointer finger and my ring finger. This is gonna be a white French tip, and this one's gonna be that dark red French tip. So here we have the first layer done, and because these colors are kind of sheer, at least because the white's kind of sheer, I am going to go in with a second layer. But if you are using gel polishes that are good with one coat, you don't have to do this. But yeah, I'm using Beetle's white today, so I kind of have to. Also, while I'm here, I should mention that when I am working on the second layer, I don't go all the way to the edge of the nail. I like to kind of keep it pretty bare on the edge of the nail. I don't really like to add too much product there at all. And the reason I like to do this, specifically when I'm doing something like square or stiletto, is because I want to make sure that I'm maintaining the shape as best as I can. And once you start going over your nails with multiple layers of gel polish, the shape of the nails can end up kind of warped, and I really don't want that to happen. I want everything to stay as crisp as possible, so I do like to leave a bit of a gap on each side of the nail. And with that being said, if you are going to be leaving a gap on the sides, you need to make sure that the first layer goes all the way to the sides, just so that it's not completely bare. So as you can see for the red, I go all the way to the edge on that first layer, but once I go in with the second one, I am going to leave that gap. So the French tips are all done, and now we're gonna move on to our middle finger. This one's also pretty straightforward. We're just gonna do a black outline on this nail. Now for this nail, I definitely have to take my time because it's very easy to mess up and then it keeps getting thicker and thicker. So for this nail in particular, if you are recreating this along with me, I would absolutely recommend using a longer line art brush for this because again, it helps with the stability and just making sure that your lines aren't super shaky. So let's go ahead and do that. So first, let me just clean off this red. Okay. And I'm first just going to get rid of the red on this brush. Now, usually I do like to keep a little bit of acetone next to me so I can quickly clean off my brushes, but I don't really feel like doing all that today. So I'm just gonna use some alcohol. I think my life would be a lot easier if I just got like more than one type of brush, you know? I think my life would be a lot easier. So I have some black on my brush and I'm gonna start on the sides because I feel like it's the easiest part. And I'm just gonna create an outline on both sides. And I'm gonna try my best to keep this nice and even. So now that that's done, we're gonna move on to I think we're gonna do the lips on this nail. Now, I haven't done lips in probably 2 or 3 years, I think. And the last time I did these was, I think, on my mom's nails, and I hated them because they just didn't look right. I don't know what I did, but they looked a mess. But we're gonna try and redeem ourselves today. And you know, it's been years. It's been years since I've done that, and hopefully it looks good today. I'm first gonna take my dotting tool, and the first thing I'm gonna do is make 2 little dots for the Cupid's bow area. So let's do one here. And I think I'm gonna do one here, right in the middle. And now I'm gonna take a short line art brush for this, and we're just gonna drag out the edges. So I'm going to kind of start out with a heart, basically. I'm going to sharpen this area in the center, and then what I'm gonna do is drag out either side of this dot, kind of like that. This is like low-key kind of hard. Like my hands are like shaking. I don't know if it's because I'm nervous, but girl, get it together. Anyway, I think this looks pretty good. We're going to do the bottom lip now, which is kind of just a half circle, honestly, so it's not as intricate as the top lip. And I'm going to leave a little gap in the middle, just kind of draw around the curve of the top lip. I'm already so scared. Why am I scared? What? Something's wrong with me. Okay, so far that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to thicken it up and try and keep most of that thickness towards the center of this line. Okay, she's giving Bratz lips, and I like it. I'm not mad at it. It's definitely better than the first time I ever did it, and if I had the picture, I would definitely show you. I might have to ask my mom. I'll see if she has it. She might. And I think I'm gonna do this one more time. There are 3 on this nail, but I think I can only fit 2. If not, I'll do like a little corner lip, like right here. So now we're moving on to much simpler nail art. We're just gonna do 2 little white stars right here and right here. So the nail art is pretty much done for these 3 nails. We're gonna skip the olives for now and we're gonna jump to our thumbnail. So on this thumbnail, it's actually just gonna be a very simple, cute little red bow. So let's do that. Let's knock that out right now. I'm cleaning my brush once again for like the 50th time today. That's great. So again, pretty straightforward. We're just gonna draw a bow and the loops for the bow are gonna kind of be diagonally placed here, and then the ribbon ends are going to be like going to this side. All right, so the majority of the nail art is pretty much done, and now we're gonna get onto the Now we're gonna get onto these olives. And for that, I'm gonna be using some solid nail glue gel. We're just gonna do what we normally do. I'm gonna use the solid nail glue gel, the clear one, and then I'm gonna paint it with the olive green here. Y'all tell me why when I made the Hello Kitty charm for Christmas, someone said I should sell them. Are y'all serious about that? Because I don't think I could compete with like manufactured ones that are like perfect, but y'all let me know. I'd probably never sell them myself, but you know, it would be nice to know that like I could if I wanted to. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted today. Okay, so we're going to take some little balls out of this. I'm going to try my best not to touch these with my bare hands. I'm just going to take a little piece of this and I'm going to roll it into an oval shape. Once I have the oval shape, I'm going to place it right there. And that's pretty much one of the olives done. I'm going to try and press it down just a little bit just to make sure that it doesn't come off. And that's pretty much all we're going to do. We're just making some little beans and placing them down. So after that's pretty much cured in place, I'm gonna keep doing that another 2 times. All right, so now that the olives are done, we're gonna go ahead and paint them with the olive green. So now we're gonna work on the little red like pepper part of the olive. And in the reference photo, they did use a little red gem, which is so cute. So I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'm gonna adhere these with a little bit of rhinestone glue. So for these olives, I'm gonna place the little like pepper part like right towards the tips of these. Now these gems came with a little white pencil, and I've seen a couple of nail techs use pencils to place down these gems. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna try and place these down with this pencil. I'm a little bit skeptical, but we'll see. I don't know why I was skeptical about this. I feel like because it's a pencil, I'm like, why would that pick it up? But that worked pretty well, and I don't have to worry about there being any wax residue on the rhinestones. And I'm gonna go ahead and cure this. So these gems are on this nail, and for this nail, it's going to be a singular gold bead in the center of the bow, and I'm using some rhinestone glue to help me adhere these. Now the last bit of nail art is some water droplets on the thumbnail. Now this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to go straight from the tube of my rhinestone glue, and I'm just going to make some droplets right on the tip of the nail. So the nail art is all done for these 4 nails. I'm just going to finish these off with a layer of top coat. So the nails are all done, and here is what they are looking like so far. As I did show you guys, I did do my pinky nail off camera, and I love it. Like, it just gives, like, I'm not an alcohol girl, but it gives like dark liquor. And I like that because this is giving date night. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go ahead and finish out this nail set with a little bit of cuticle oil. And that completes today's set. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this one. This nail set is honestly a banger. And you guys probably don't know this, but I'm not going on a date. I just did these for fun. But if I were going on a date, these would be perfect, literally perfect for that. So if you guys have a date night coming up with someone a little bit special to you, definitely give these a try. If I were to put this nail set on a scale of 1 to 10, I would definitely give this a 9 out of 10. I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with the nail set, but I do think it might have looked better if I used a slightly lighter red. It kind of gives almost burgundy/brown, but other than that, I really do like it. I'm going to be coming with a couple more Valentine's Day nail sets, so definitely do stay tuned for those. But this is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next one.